Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. All right, we've got Austin Peters, founder, private wealth advisor, Backbone Financial, with us now. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, Austin. All right, you've been in the industry for just a little while, at least over 18 years in this industry sector. Give us some more background on you, and then let's talk about the funding buy-sell agreements, and then we'll walk right down through the litany of questions we have for you.
Sure. Yeah, like you said, just a little bit of time, just getting started. I'm about to start my 19th year in the business, and about half of it's been on the wholesale side, representing either a carrier or an insurance brokerage, and then the other half on personal production with retail clients. My focus is business owners. That's where the name Backbone Financial comes from, with my belief that they are truly the backbone of the American economy.
Well, they are.
They are. Yeah.
You know, Austin, I'm Ed Baxter of Bison Creek Capital. I, too, actually carried that hat for a while myself in managing money for small corporations, nonprofits, business owners, and so on. The question I would have for you, coming from the background you have, is, and I may be a little bit off the reservation here, but convincing business owners to take the proactive approach to a buy-sell agreement and funding it with the types of products that you would offer, how difficult is it to get them to see down the future and to plan for that should something happen to either one of the partners involved?
You know, it's tough. I think specifically with a younger business owner, they still feel invincible. It's not going to happen to me. I don't really, yes, we have an agreement, but we haven't funded it with disability insurance or life insurance. I'm still young enough. We'll deal with that later. And typically what I'll do is I'll share a personal story with a business owner that I've worked with for about a decade, where I kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and he kept giving me the exact same answers. We're young. I know we need to deal with it. And then, so it was three partners. They bought out one of the partners, and I again said, we need to make sure that we take care of this. You're redoing the buy-sell agreement. This is the perfect time. Put it off again. And then 2 years later, the other partner passes away from a massive heart attack in his early 40s. And so then all of a sudden he's left buying out the widow for 5 years, and the buyout dictated that he had to have life insurance and disability in addition to the payments that he was making to her over the 5-year period that he just finished this past May. So I share that story, and I think it kind of helps them realize that it can happen to any of them, and it's just one of those things they need to make sure they have in place to protect themselves.
Let's walk through corporate retirement plan benchmarking and comprehensive planning process.
Sure. So, that's really what I hang my hat on. Being a certified financial planner, for me, it's important to make sure that I'm handling things from a comprehensive approach. And so I'll put together a comprehensive plan that has nothing to do with product at all. It just addresses any holes that there may be in their financial plan to make sure that we lay out a full plan for them to follow. And that can, of course, include the corporate retirement plan for their business, and making sure that it's been benchmarked appropriately and that they've got the best lineup of funds, they understand the fiduciary liability that they have as an employer, and that the fees that they're paying for what they're getting are appropriate.
What makes you different from other financial planners?
I think that's a tough question to answer, but the biggest thing that I would say is, first, having that certified financial planner designation. That's not something that everybody has. In addition to that, I would add the fact that I have an MBA, and I've owned other businesses outside of financial planning, which gives me, I think, a better way of relating to business owners, understanding what it takes to build a business. Obviously, I've had to build my financial planning firm, but I've built other businesses as well. The importance of protecting assets, the importance of making sure that your family's taken care of and planned for appropriately. And so, those are a couple of things that I would mention. And then just that comprehensive approach. I think all too often there are financial advisors today that are leading with specific products. They're comfortable with specific products, and they're trying to make their clients fit into those products rather than putting together a comprehensive plan that helps the clients to see what they need and then finding the products to meet those needs.
All right, for those people that really do need what you do, let's talk about your process and why should businesses and business owners really want to work with you? What's holding them back, and what so that they can open up and move forward?
What I find most often is slowing down enough to deal with it is the biggest issue that most business owners have today is taking the time to deal with something that's important. Either that or they feel that they don't need a financial advisor because their business is going great and any money that I have in excess is just going to go back into the business to reinvest, not realizing, the importance of protecting what they've built, planning for the next generation, the succession plan, the eventual sale of the business. The biggest, so I find that the biggest thing is one, lack of understanding, two, not wanting to take the time to plan appropriately.
Well, Austin, Ed Baxter again from Bison Creek Capital. One thing I had when I was in practice was, you mentioned earlier, you talked about invincibility. One of the issues that seems to come up often when we were doing this with business owners was they didn't want to think about the end. They didn't want to think about what potentially could happen, what could happen to their assets. And we had several cases where no matter it seems like what we tried to do with that particular client, they were opposed to having a plan that allowed them for the efficient transfer process. Again, how do you coach people through that?
Typically it goes back to telling stories. I think the best salespeople, if you will, and at the end of the day, we are salespeople. I try to make sure that I'm wearing a consultant hat and doing the right thing for the client every time regardless. But in the end, we do have to sell them on, one, the need to do the things that they have to do, and two, eventually we're going to end up having to sell them some products and charge a fee for our services. And so we do have to be salespeople, and the best salespeople out there I find are good storytellers. And so being able to share specific stories from your life, things that you've seen as a financial advisor and how it's affected the lives of the clients that you're working with, helps them to kind of get over that hump. It's not perfect. You're still going to have the guys who aren't going to want to listen to you, or who, still feel like it's a waste of their time, or they truly are invincible, or they just don't want to talk about what the future holds, like you mentioned. So I don't know that there's a perfect answer, but I feel like sharing stories from my personal practice helps to get over the hump most of the time.
So our audience gets to know you a little bit better. You have certain focus points with your area of expertise. Open that up for us.
The biggest area of expertise for me is small businesses. So clients who own a business with, say, 100 employees or less. That's where I make the biggest impact. Now, I'm in the Phoenix market, but I am licensed to do business in multiple other states and work with clients in many other states. But it's really helping them to understand the ins and outs of what they're doing, what they're running, what they're planning for, what the future looks like, and taking that full comprehensive approach. I think most business owners have trusted advisors in place already, whether it be a CPA or an attorney or both, but rarely do they have an advisor who truly understands the importance of being comprehensive and working side by side with that CPA or that attorney to make sure that the needs are met fully, and to do it from a fiduciary standpoint where it's always the client's best interest first.
What level does a business need to be in before they can effectively engage with you? Because we don't do startups all the time, but we do from time to time have very young companies that are moving along, and we're going to have to close out here in just a few seconds. But if you could just wrap that up in a quick package, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the planning is pretty minimal. As a startup, helping them to make sure that they're setting themselves up correctly from a corporate standpoint, meaning the incorporation process and raising money and making sure that they're handling things appropriately from a tax standpoint, early on. But as a startup, they typically don't have a whole lot of things that need to be protected, and they certainly don't have much in the way of assets to invest. So it's typically I'm working with owners that have had their business for, I would say, a minimum of 3 years typically is where we really kind of get in there and get in the weeds and start to plan for the future.
Got it. All right, Austin, we've got to run, but thank you so much for being a guest today.
You bet. Thank you.
Austin Peters, CFP, MBA, founder, private wealth advisor, Backbone Financial, backbonefinancial.com. We're going to pause for a brief moment and come back with David Williams of Page Trader.